Hello, my name is Julie Packer, and I'm going to be giving you a presentation on the biodiversity loss in shortgrass prairies. The course number is EVPC 201. Degradation of shortgrass prairies. Here's a list of the most common reasons why prairies are being destroyed. One is wind turbines are being put up for energy resources, but it is killing migratory birds on their way to nesting areas. Second is large swatches of land are needed to put solar panels up, and that's causing many birds and other mammals to not find nesting sites as well. As well as roads and communities are popping up all over the state that are also taking habitat from local wildlife. In 1998, there's a small study done to see the extent of the damage at that point. It was declared that around 100 distinct species were at risk, with an estimate of 33 becoming extinct. The shortgrass prairie covers 27 million acres, about the area of Ohio. In Colorado, which is home to 200 plants and animal species. In 2000, another study was conducted and confirmed many of the predictions made in the 1998 study. There's currently is a collaboration between Colorado Department of Transportation, private landowners, the Nature Conservatory, and lastly, to differentiate between the public and the private sector, they created the Memorandum of Agreement. Luckily, everyone involved is highly motivated to help keep all these distinct species living in a symbiotic relationship. Helping save this habitat. We can all help by knowing what damage we are causing so that we can help mitigate it. By knowing the plant and animal species that live in these areas and how they help all of us in the grand scheme of things could help road builders think about what would be the correct form of action to mitigate the impact on these species. Civilians could sign a petition to say no more roads until we can find a way to do less harm to the environment, but that one's a little far-fetched as well. Here is a flowchart of different aspects of shortgrass prairies, which you see on the very bottom. The next is the habitat requirements, which is adapted to areas with an annual precipitation of 15 to 25 inches. Plants may grow up to 10 inches tall, sparse but drought hardy, relatively stable grazing value year-round. The next one is human anthropogenic factors. Agriculture has taken nearly 50% of shortgrass prairies. Renewable and non-renewable resources are being exploited in these areas, and expansion of urban and ex-urban communities are growing in these areas because it's flat, very low maintenance. Very top one is ecological and environmental factors, which is global warming, overgrazing of cattle, and fires. Case study. This first case study is the conservation and preservation of the black-tailed prairie dog. Through an addendum titled A Multi-State Conservation Plan for the Black-tailed Prairie Dog, Cinemus ludovicensis, in the United States, Addendum to the Black-tailed Prairie Dog Conservation Assessment and Strategy. This species has been part of the cornerstone shortgrass prairies. Some issues facing them are habitat loss, overutilization, unregulated shooting, a disease called sylvatic plague, and lastly, inadequate regulatory mechanisms. This is a species that is needed because birds of prey also feed upon them, and it's the whole cycle that is being messed up by just having one species out of the area. The second case study is what the Colorado Division of Wildlife is doing, which is monitoring all species in any given environment in the state. They are trying to lessen the impact of cattle and other livestock that are trampling the many ground-dwelling species, lizards, snakes, birds that have nesting sites on the ground, different mammals, mice, stuff like that. The last case study is actually educating the private landowners of the vital habitat that could potentially help bring back certain species, like the prairie dog or the black-footed ferret as examples. And it's also imperative to conduct these surveys so we can keep track of the species incline or decline on these properties. Whether or not some of these are working. In my opinion, I do think they work up to a point, especially with conserving the black-tailed prairie dog, because when I'm driving to and from work, which is about 38 miles to work, 38 miles back home, I can see in any given day 200 to 300 just running all over the place, as well as many birds of prey feeding on them as well. And Colorado is consistently checking on all habitats throughout the state and monitoring them to make sure we are not pushing too far into local wildlife's home. And Colorado is also teaching private landowners the best practices they know of on how to mitigate human-animal conflict. So all in all, yes, I personally think that these practices are working, but we do need to come up with others just so we can help everyone understand and not just a small portion of people. Here are some proposed management practices. There's a research being done to see if using sounds of other wildlife to scare away predators, like when wolves are being nuisances on cattle and livestock. Play the sound of a African lion's roar, and it will usually scare the wolves away. But there's more research that needs to be done into it. Control burns in areas that have lots of old growth and undergrowth. That is not allowing the new growth underneath to come up, like new trees and flowers, stuff like that. And cutting trees in areas that have a lot of old growth that are too densely close to each other, so there's no sunlight coming down and hitting the undergrowth, is also a big problem that we're having. And then lastly, through the buying of hunting equipment and licenses, a large portion of many hunters' money is going straight back into conserving that state's native species. My swag is protect our shortgrass prairies. Stop allowing roads to be built for the sole purpose of getting products to somewhere faster. Show the Department of Transportation what we are actually losing when we follow through with these plans. And showcase the problems with the world to show that it's not just one area of the world we are losing due to infrastructure needs. Also to show that we can all learn together. Future direction. What's next? To me, what's next is that I will pledge to always think about the consequences of putting roads up that don't need to be going up because we have another highway that can get us to this same place. Just because some people want roads to go from Durango, Colorado to Denver, Colorado, and they don't want to take all these unnecessary ones, so they build one straight one, is kind of redundant to me. Just enjoy the drive, enjoy the trip, and things will be better. Also, to fight for the conservation of all species in the world. I'm not going to focus on one, I will make it a mission of mine to focus on all. And this class has shown me just how fragile these places are when we do not have the right plants and animals in them. I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time and looking through this presentation. I hope you learned something and are willing to help this environment and many like it be saved for generations to come. My name is Newly Packer. My email is newlylane@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time.